10 Best Picks presents the top 10 best streaming devices. Starting at number 10. Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. The Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K, as the name suggests, boosts the video resolution up to 4K compared to the standard model. In addition to supporting 4K media, it also comes with the remote on the standard Fire TV Stick, which controls both the TV and the Fire OS. It's priced at $49.99. Welcome to the age of affordable 4K streaming. Not only do most 4K TVs now feature at least some form of app and streaming service support, but dedicated 4K media streamers are becoming less and less expensive. The Roku Premiere and Premiere Plus were the first 4K models we've seen to dip under the $50 mark. They're joined by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K, a $49.99 media streamer that doesn't represent a sequel to the 1080p Fire TV Stick, but instead completely replaces the 4K-capable Amazon Fire TV. The Fire TV Stick 4K is smaller, faster, less expensive, supports Dolby Vision, and features a more advanced remote to boot. It's the best media streamer you can for under $50 and our editor's choice. If you haven't moved up to 4K yet, though, the non-4K Fire TV Stick offers the same features and design for $10 less. The Fire TV Stick 4K is slightly larger than the standard Fire TV Stick, measuring 3.9 by 1.2 by 0.6 inches. It's a simple rectangular matte black plastic bar with a male HDMI connector on one end and a micro USB port on one side. If it's slightly too large to fit comfortably in a port on your TV, a short, flexible HDMI extender lets you reposition it at a different angle. Amazon has updated its Alexa voice remote with some new tricks. The second-generation remote is still a slim rectangular one with a prominent circular navigation pad and a pinhole microphone near the top for using Alexa. It still has menu and playback controls, and now power and volume buttons join them. The Fire TV Stick 4K can directly control your TV's power and volume, letting you jump directly into watching streaming media without picking up a second remote. It currently only adjusts volume and toggles power, so you can't navigate your TV's menus or change inputs, but if your Fire TV Stick is the primary device you're going to watch, it's a very useful upgrade. At number 9. Anker Nebula Fire TV. If you like Amazon's Fire TV OS, there's also a smart soundbar you can purchase. Anker's Nebula brand is selling a Fire TV soundbar right now. It includes 2 speakers and 2 built-in subwoofers to improve the sound from your TV. Of course, it can stream anything that a Fire TV-based device can, up to 4K resolution. It also comes with an Alexa-based voice remote. The price is pretty high at $199.99. It's also not that easy to determine which input to use for sound other than that from the Fire TV OS that's built into the soundbar. The FTV setting ensures that the TV's sound is always routed through the soundbar as long as you're using the Fire TV interface. But you'll need the ARC setting if you want to route, say, a PS4's sound, and that's dependent on having an HDMI ARC input, which not every TV does. For older TVs, you can connect the soundbar via an optical cable. You can also use a Bluetooth setting to play your own music from a phone or a computer. It can get complicated fast, depending on how many features you want to use. I tested the Nebula soundbar with a variety of shows, movies and music albums to make sure that it wasn't a fluke, but my experience remained pretty consistent across the board. When I watched Star Trek, a Klingon crew made a lot of noise transporting into a scene, but one of them decking Captain Kirk made almost no sound. In the Avengers, the fire of Chitauri weapons barely made any impact. Even the Hulk smashing a gigantic war machine felt flat. Music from Old Crow Medicine Show and Flogging Molly lacked bass, and even the treble instruments sounded a little muddled. One area where the Nebula soundbar does pretty well, however, is with voices. In my tests, all voices were very clear, to the point of almost sounding metallic. The trouble is that clear doesn't necessarily mean loud. Because the Nebula soundbar is surprisingly quiet, you'll have to turn it way up to hear sound effects and music, at which point the dialogue can sound downright obnoxious. This is true for the movie, music, and voice equalization options, which are all pretty similar. Number 8 of my list. TiVo Stream 4K 8 ton of applications? Check. An affordable price? Check. Support for your own media on external storage too? You bet. The TiVo Stream 4K is a great streamer that deserves a place in this hall of the best streaming devices. And unlike some streaming devices, it has HBO and Peacock. Sling users will appreciate its live TV integration, and the Google Assistant is there to follow through on your voice commands. We just wish that the Stream 4K had a better interface for its stream app that aggregates content, and that its recommendations were a little more on the nose. Plus, YouTube TV, Hulu with Live TV and Fubo TV don't get the red carpet treatment that Sling gets in the guide section. If it weren't for the Chromecast with Google TV, the TiVo Stream 4K would be a lot more interesting, but for now it lives in the new Chromecast's long shadow. When I first set up the TiVo Stream 4K, it allowed me to choose my streaming services, much like Fire TV and Roku. Then, it prompted me to personalize recommended content by selecting shows and movies that I like. You can skip this step, and you should, because the choices I made here led to some disappointing and head-scratching recommendations. For instance, I liked a few true crime shows, which resulted in TiVo suggesting I watch a bunch of crime drama procedurals. No, thanks. The Android TV interface consists of a home screen listing your apps in a row across the top, very similar to Fire TV's home. The first is the TiVo Stream app, followed by the ones I selected when setting up the device: Netflix, Sling, Prime Video, YouTube, Hulu, Disney+, HBO Max, Peacock, and Google Play Movies and TV. Scrolling down, the rows display featured thumbnails of various shows and movies from those corresponding apps. So, in the Netflix row, I got Umbrella Academy, Lucifer and several titles for which I have zero interest. But at least, that gave me a preview into what was available on each service. On the Fire TV home screen, for example, those content rows tout only Amazon native content, either from Prime Video or IMDb TV. Coming at number 7. Xbox One S. The Xbox One S is only $289, but streams movies and TV in 4K and supports HDR content. It's also going to get Dolby Vision capabilities in the near future, and you can install Kodi on the console if that's your jam. It also plays 4K Blu-ray movies, unlike any of our other picks. Oh, and you also get a great video game console with your purchase. The Xbox One S is slimmer than its predecessors, and its black and white design makes for a surprisingly stylish addition to your home entertainment console. Its internal capacity limit of 2 TB means you can stop micro-managing the games and other content you download onto the drive. 4K and HDR video. Xbox One S gets a fairly beefy upgrade on its video capabilities, with 4K resolution and HDR. Keep in mind, those features only work on compatible TVs, and 4K functionality only works with a small but growing list of compatible video content. 4K can currently be accessed through streaming video services such as Amazon and Netflix, and those new 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray discs. Certain games, meanwhile, will eventually be able to take advantage of HDR visual improvements, but don't look for PC-like 4K graphics, the games are merely upscaled to 4K. So no, you're not getting native 4K gaming out of an Xbox One S. In fact, only a limited number of games will feature HDR, and none of them are out yet. They are Gears of War 4, Forza Horizon 3 and 2017's Scalebound. Unfortunately, I'm not a fan of the new controller's design. It's not a drastic departure from the original, but there's just enough of a change to make it feel cheaper. The plastic textured grips don't feel good the way rubberized ones do, but thankfully the triggers seem unchanged. The D-pad also feels slightly less tactile. I even noticed differences between two of the new controllers side by side. At number 6. Apple TV 4K. The Apple TV 4K delivers everything fans loved about the last iteration of the box, but its 4K HDR support makes it the best streaming device for those in Apple's ecosystem. In addition to watching iTunes movies and TV shows on your big screen, you can watch hundreds of streaming apps, play games, AirPlay content from other Apple devices, and even control your smart home devices right from a Siri-enabled remote. The refined voice search gives it an edge over other streaming boxes, but you'll pay a lot for the privilege. iPhone owners will also find that the Apple TV has better integration into their phone. You can easily enter passwords directly into apps through the remote app, plus you can access the Apple TV remote app directly from the control center. The Apple TV 4K will soon get higher integration with Apple's HomeKit devices, so you can see who's at your door from a pop-over menu, thanks to tvOS 14. Updated connections include Gigabit Ethernet, 802.11ac Wi-Fi with simultaneous 2.4 HZ and 5G HZ bands and Bluetooth 5.0. The video out is now HDMI 2.0 to support 4K HDR video. The Apple TV 4K can do Dolby Digital surround sound and Dolby Atmos audio. The Apple TV 4K is still not compatible with the 4K or HDR videos from YouTube, however. YouTube relies on the VP9 codec for distribution and playback of 4K and HDR videos, a YouTube representative told me. The new Apple TV does not support VP9, and therefore we can't deliver 4K resolution on this device. In other words, don't expect 4K and/or HDR YouTube videos on the Apple TV anytime soon. That's not a huge loss, since YouTube's normal 1080p videos look very good. However, YouTube fans who insist on peak image quality should choose another device that does deliver it in 4K, like Roku's 4K players or the Chromecast Ultra. For more information and price, check out the product links in description underneath the video. Halfway of my listed number 5. Roku Ultra. The new Roku Ultra is pretty much still the great streaming box it's always been, just with a couple of tweaks and keeping most of the perks you'd expect for $100. For example, they've also added Dolby Vision, a must for those streaming high-quality movies and TV shows. Plus, it's still got a USB port which allows for folks to play back their own library of movie files on their TV. Yes, you don't even need to learn what a media server is or how to set one up. This year's model also offers a faster processor and better wireless streaming. The other big boon of this model is that you can program the Roku remote's 2 customizable buttons to open your favorite channels, in addition to the pre-programmed ones for Netflix, Hulu, Sling TV and Vudu. The included earbud headphones sweeten the deal, as they plug right into the remote control for private listening. This is highly important to those who want to watch TV without disturbing the other person in the room. Beyond the more tangible hardware improvements in the 2020 Roku Ultra, Roku claims that the new box launches popular apps faster and has better wireless reception than previous versions. In practice, those improvements are noticeable, but not dramatic. Compared to last year's Ultra, the new model launched Amazon Prime about 1.5 seconds faster and the Roku channel about a second faster, but launch times for Disney Plus and YouTube were comparable on both. The Ultra does have a more pronounced advantage over the $50 Roku Streaming Stick Plus, launching Prime roughly 4.5 seconds faster and loading the Roku channel, YouTube, and Disney Plus about 1.5 seconds faster, but none of those differences are enough to justify upgrading for speed alone. Connectivity speed is where things get more interesting. Roku didn't upgrade the internal Wi-Fi components. The Ultra still supports Wi-Fi 5 with dual-band MIMO, but the company says it has optimized its antennas to improve reception range. Coming in at number 4 of my list. Amazon Fire TV Cube. Did you know Alexa could control your cable box? The Amazon Fire TV Cube packs a version of the virtual assistant that offers more entertainment device tricks than most, including switching HDMI inputs and tuning to cable channels. And thanks to a faster processor in this new model, commands happen up to 4 times as fast. Cutting down the amount of times that voice commands are performed will help people stick with using Alexa commands and stop looking for their remote. This box streams content in excellent 4K HDR quality, and its content-first interface seeks to cut down the time it takes for you to hit play. Trying to master Amazon's cheaper streamer? Check out our How to Use the Fire Stick guide. While Amazon made a number of improvements to Amazon Fire TV Cube software and internal hardware, not much has changed about the outer shell. It's still an unassuming black cube with an LED bar along the top. It's not as unassuming as some other streaming video players that hide behind the TV, but it does give your entertainment center a slightly futuristic vibe. On the top of the cube are 4 control buttons for muting, raising and lowering the volume and summoning Alexa, though the latter is a bit unnecessary. Of course, simply having the option to shout voice commands at a small box-shaped player without a remote in hand is the unique selling point of the Amazon Fire TV Cube, and with its 8 far-field microphones, the Fire TV Cube is incredibly good at picking up what you're putting down as good or perhaps even better than the Amazon Echo Show or Amazon Echo are at the task. Spin the Fire TV Cube around to the back, and you'll find an HDMI port, micro-USB, an IR extender and a power connector. There's not much to say about the micro-USB or the power connector, both of which work as advertised, but there's something to say about how the Fire TV Cube handles HDMI. At number 3. Nvidia Shield TV. The 2019 Nvidia Shield TV doesn't just look unlike any other streaming device we've ever seen, it's also one of the best streaming devices, period. This tube for your tube is great at speedily spitting out UHD 4K content, and its thousands of apps means you're getting practically everything you could watch. And it's so slight in size that it fit discreetly into the ever-crowded space around your TV. This Shield TV also includes a remote control rather than a game controller. We love this remote because it illuminates when you pick it up in the dark. You won't miss the lack of a packed-in controller thanks to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One controller support. That all adds up to the best streaming device for those willing to spend more. And while you can game with Google Stadia on the Chromecast Ultra, the Shield TV supports 4K HDR streaming, making it the best streaming device for those looking to game and watch. In practice, this means that edges become sharper, face details become less blurry, and strands of hair become more defined. Nvidia is proud to show off the tech as well, including a demo mode that lets you toggle the AI mode or view it side by side with traditional upscaling. Going back and forth, the difference is often obvious, especially if you're somewhat close to the TV or viewing 720p content on YouTube. Video purists can make the upscaler less aggressive or disable it entirely, but I never found this to be necessary. The technology quickly won me over, but I wish it worked with more types of content and in more ways. As of now, it can't upscale 60 frames per second videos such as live sports, nor can it convert standard dynamic range content to HDR. Even better, Nvidia ditched the old remote's maddening touch-sensitive volume control strip in favor of actual volume and power buttons, while also adding dedicated fast forward and rewind keys. There's also a programmable button up top that can launch apps, open the settings menu, mute the volume, toggle AI upscaling, and more. Some folks might take issue with the big Netflix button at the bottom, but you can unofficially remap that one as well. For more information and price, check out the product links in description underneath the video. Coming at number 2, Chromecast with Google TV. A Chromecast with a remote? Yes, Google finally did it, and the Chromecast with Google TV makes the company's traditional streaming device a whole lot more complete. It starts with 4K UHD streaming with support for HDR and Dolby Vision for excellent picture quality and Dolby Atmos for immersive sound. Also, it's got Google TV, an interface and operating system that supports the over 6,500 Android TV apps. That means you get everything from HBO Max to Disney Plus to Peacock Plus Netflix. Even Peloton's in there. A lot of other streaming devices can't boast as much. While it's not the minimalist streaming device that the Chromecast 3 was, the new Chromecast remote could even replace your TV's remote. It's got the power and volume controls you need to turn on your TV, plus a TV input button for switching to other devices, such as gaming consoles. On top of that, it's $49.99 price makes it more affordable than the Chromecast Ultra, Google's previous 4K streaming device. A dedicated button for Google Assistant sits at the top of the right row in a slightly different hue to distinguish it from the other buttons, as well as buttons for back, home, mute, power, and switching your TV's input to and from the Chromecast. Netflix gets a dedicated button, as does YouTube. Volume buttons are on the right side of the device. You can configure the input button to switch to other devices on your TV. While it was slow for my LG C7 OLED TV, it does work and should add value to those bouncing between the Chromecast and a cable box or game console. Setting up the remote, which is IR and Bluetooth for better control of your TV and any accessories like speakers, was quick and easy for my LG. You need to use the included power brick with the Chromecast. When I connected the Chromecast to my TV via USB power, an error message appeared, instructing me to connect to the wall adapter instead. Other Chromecasts were able to at least partially power the device using a TV's USB port, even if it meant certain, more power-hungry features were disabled. The Chromecast Ultra, for instance, could still stream in HD when powered over USB, though 4K streaming required power from a proper wall adapter. And number 1. Roku Streaming Stick Plus. Apple TV 4K and Amazon Fire TV 2017 caused a big stir upon release. So it can be at times easy to forget that it was Roku who kickstarted the streaming revolution 10 or so years back. But despite the growing competition, the Roku Streaming Stick Plus remains relatively unmatched in terms of its specs. It's the only streaming device in the stick-shaped form factor to offer both 4K and HDR screen option, and is only truly threatened in that specific category by the Chromecast Ultra and previously mentioned Amazon Fire TV. Its strong spec sheet sets it apart. It may be little larger than your standard USB thumb drive, but it can output 4K HDR10 streaming thanks to its built-in 802.11ac Wi-Fi antenna. That sits outside the chassis which, according to Roku, offers a faster and more stable streaming experience. Ultimately though, while size, performance and price elevate the Roku Streaming Stick Plus to unprecedented levels, a few niggling issues like slow pop-in time and lack of Dolby support prevent it from winning top accolades. Surprisingly, the Roku Streaming Stick Plus only costs a mere $49.99 after a $10 price drop in October 2019. It's a price that makes the old Roku Premier Plus obsolete and places the 4K streaming stick in impulse buy territory. It is, for the most part, a familiar design. It's a form factor that Roku pioneered 5 years ago with its oblong and creatively colored purple Roku streaming stick, and it's clearly served the company well over the years. The form factor was popular enough for Roku to warrant an update last year, and throughout the years, has been copied by both main hardware manufacturers and cheap knockoffs alike. For more information and price, check out the product links in description underneath the video. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe my channel, share this video and hit the like button.